Damn. Uh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. How are you doing? And you doing? And you doing? It's Tuesday. I know you guys weren't expecting us to be on tonight, so the crowd is a little thin, but we appreciate you guys for hanging out, especially those of you in the cheap seats down in the front. I am, as always, from Zagnip Central, all the way in the heart of Oklahoma City. Mr. Fingers coming to you, and that fella right there, that guy, he is the brother from another, the sexy mother Hubbard, the ace of base in the place in your face. It is my favorite part of the game because I like the halftime. I have recently been placed in charge of garbage. Do you have something that requires disposal? That right there is Colin P. from the DMV talking SEC on the internet with me. Okay, that's all we're going to add to the intro. Just so you know, we have a guest this evening, Jeff. That intro started out really short, and now it's gotten very, very long. But, ladies and gentlemen, we were going to have him in the green room. I forgot to put him in the green room before the show started, so he's already out here now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest joining us this evening to talk some football. Auburn fan Jeff Merrick. How you doing tonight, sir?
I am okay, though the topic of Auburn football is not exactly a refreshing one for me. So I will try to get through this. It is not a great time for Auburn football, but I'm happy to talk with you guys about it, what I think about it.
All right, then. Well, let's get on into it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's going on this weekend. You know what's going on this weekend. You saw what happened last weekend. You know what's going on this weekend. The fellas from Toomer's Corner from the Plains are traveling to Athens, Georgia, to the what some say, what at least Paul Feinbaum says is the new mecca of SEC football, Athens, Georgia, to play between the hedges. And Colin, I'm going to come to you first, sir. Brother, what are you thinking here, man? I mean, how you feeling about this game after what we saw just a mere 4 days?
Oh man, you know, we kind of visited last night, dude. I mean, I don't know anymore because I mean, like all of my expectations have gone out the window. Because I mean, it's just like, you know, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly is going on. Like, are we looking past people, or are we looking, you know, just lackadaisical, or are we just, you know, just not wanting to play? I mean, like not playing to our standards. I don't know. Like I said, this threw a whole wrench in this game against Auburn, because actually watching Auburn play last weekend kind of gave me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, because you know they never know what they can turn around and do. So I mean, if we look past them like we tend to have done against say Missouri or Kent State, then we could well we could well lose this game. You know, I mean, just being real.
100% agreed. I mean, there were a lot of miscues last week, which was a little bit of a carryover from the week before against Kent State. I mean, like you couldn't have told me when the schedule came out. I said, if we don't run the table, there's something wrong. And then, Kent State, Missouri. You know, we haven't really struggled with Missouri since Drew Lock was quarterback in there, which wasn't very long ago. But it's not like we had the talent then that we have now on both sides of the ball. I mean, no disrespect to Chubb and Michelle or anything like that, but it's just we didn't have that same caliber of all-around talent on the squad. So Jeff, I'm gonna turn this over to you. We're gonna turn it over to you. How you feeling about this one, man?
Not good at all. I know that Georgia struggled here 2 weeks in a row, and in some ways that makes this worse, because if they overlook a third inferior team, that is definitely a alarm bells for Georgia if they can't get up for this one. But I think if Auburn had caught them after a blowout against Missouri, maybe Auburn sneaks in and catches it. I just don't see Georgia not ready for this game. And Auburn has shown throughout this year that even if things look positive, they've had 3 straight weeks with really good first halves, that just kind of fell apart in the second half. So I don't see a team that plays a 4-quarter game. I don't see a team with an attitude to win. So I don't have a great feeling about it. I will just be honest with that. I do not have a good feeling going into Saturday.
Wow.
Do you think of a third? Do you think it's a possibility that Georgia looks past a third team? You know, what I mean, I get your point. I get your point. Like, maybe if it was, if it was Auburn and placing Missouri, then yeah, I mean, I kind of get your point there. But I mean, if this is not a wake up call, then yeah, you're right. Georgia's seriously got some issues too. You know what I mean?
Yo, Brian Harson, are you listening? Hey, we gonna let Jeff hit the horn for that one. He came out the gate, shots fired, both clips low. He got the clip. He got the Mac 10 with the clip in, with the tape on the bottom, so he can give it pop it and give it a spin. That's a bar. I'm gonna have to write that down. Anyway, he just came out firing shots. So you really don't have that much confidence that Auburn could come out and give Georgia some. I mean, because the things that we have seen from our perspective. Bad tackling, bad penalties. The run game is not nearly as strong as it has been. I mean, if you go all the way back to, if we just go back to Gurley Marshall, we've had Gurley Marshall, then we had Marshall Chubb, then we had Chubb Michelle, then we had Chubb Michelle and Swift, and then they'd handed the gauntlet over. They handed everything over to Zeus. And now we've got, now Kendall's coming out of his shell, and now Kirby's throwing Deshaun Edwards out there. But we've seen some, Stetson he's starting to face these taller offensive lines defensive lines that he's having to, and he's overthrowing people or underthrowing people. So you don't think that any of that factors in? You're like, you're not even gonna give your squad a smidgen of a chance, man.
I do not. Now I will be watching and I will be hopeful. And I did see that we talked a little before we got on air about that LSU game. Auburn's quarterback showed out. Other than holding on the ball, he had way too many fumbles when he was trying to run the option, trying to run the RPO. But other than that, throwing the ball, he looked as good as he has throwing the ball. So there's a smidgen of hope there. There's talent. You talk about the running backs. There's talent at the running back position at Auburn. They don't use it, but it's there. Maybe those guys can show. There are things here and there, and you never know, Georgia. Maybe they're doubting after the last 2 weeks, and they come out sloppy. They could come out sloppy, and Auburn could take advantage. I'll watch. We'll see. But if I'm a betting man, I'm absolutely not putting anything on Auburn. I know the line's huge. It might not be a bad time. It might not be a bad time to jump in there and have Auburn to beat that spread, but I'm not convinced. We'll see. So.
Well, aside from so you got some talent at running back. You're saying you got some talent at quarterback. So if the quarterback's showing out, obviously he's got a decent receiving core down there. Like what can you say about your receiving core? Is it like Jaquez Hunter? His name comes to mind. You do have a couple of running Tank's got 4 so far. Four tutties so far. Jaquez has got 4 tutties so far. No bright spots at all other than just grit and grime right now.
Well, like I said, the bright spot for me is how Robbie Ashford, he was a starter this past Saturday, and I'm assuming he will be again. TJ Finley's been out with an injury, so I'm not sure if he'll be back or if the way Ashford played, they might say, hey, you've earned the nod to keep going. And I think he definitely looked better than what Finley's looked like. So there's a bright spot there. And they played a ton of receivers, and a ton of guys got a chance to catch the ball. A ton of guys did that. As far as the running backs go, Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter in the backfield, really good duo. But if we're looking at the weak spots, and I know we're kind of jumping ahead here, offensive line has not been good. And I don't know if it's the line has been bad or the coaching staff has not used those guys. Tank Bigsby averages about 13 carries a game. And for a guy with his talent, that's kind of absurd. If they start to find a way to use him, that might be a bright spot. That might give some chance for Auburn to get out of some of these doldrums they've been in the first part of the season.
And you figure since Bo Nix is gone, you figure he would increase in carries, right? But that hasn't happened.
Well, I think that's why he's back. He was about to transfer. All the rumors were he was going to transfer, and I think the coaches said, "Oh yeah, we're going to use you, man. We're going to use you." And what I've seen, they've not lived up to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It is a problem.
Well, listen, we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsor this evening, Squid Rips Cards. If you guys love football cards, this guy's got them. So check this out. We will be right back. That is our guy, Sid Swinton. You can see him on Sunday mornings in the off season and Let's Talk Football in the morning. You can also see him during the regular season right now in Let's Talk Fantasy Football. He pops on a whole ton of the Let's Talk Football family of shows. We're doing a short show tonight. Otherwise, we'd show you where to find all of them. But those of you that happen to be watching right now, thank you so much for joining this very truncated version of This Week in UGA Football. We have our guest, Jeff Merrick, here with us discussing Auburn versus Georgia this coming Saturday. So you mentioned some weak spots, and you said the offensive line wasn't very good. What about your defense? How you feeling about your defenses this week?
Edge rushers are a strength. Derek Hall is definitely a strength. Number 29, guy to look out for. This season he's really shown out to be a guy that could be playing on Sunday next year as an edge rusher. He's been really good for him. And number 55, Ika Leota, I think is how you say his now. If I'm mispronouncing his name wrong, I'm sorry. But number 55 has really shown out. Now, he got hurt against LSU and missed the rest of the game. I'm hoping he's back, but I don't know that he will be. But there's definitely some strength at edge, some strength at linebacker with a couple of guys they got. Their run defense has not been very strong. So if you're needing to get your running game going, this might be a good game to make it happen. Auburn's secondary, they've been middle of the road. We've gotten kind of spoiled. Like if you watch the Alabama game last year, that secondary was on point. Like they were lining up against the best receivers, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they were toe-to-toe with those guys for 4 quarters. And if they had anything on offense, they win that game.
They gloved them up. They gloved those guys up.
Yeah. One of the most impressive jobs I've seen. A lot of those guys are gone now. So they've been replacing them. There have been a lot of rough patches with the deep defensive backs, some big plays they've given up. But it hasn't been just a total, just totally awful. So I'd say average for the defense. They've definitely sprung some leaks. Penn State comes to mind. Penn State did whatever they wanted in the second half. And they kind of held their own against LSU, but then you get a big spot in that game, fourth quarter, chance to get the ball back for your offense, and they let LSU run 3 times for a first down. And, it's like much of the other rest of the team, when they've been needed in big spots, they haven't been there. And that's another reason why I don't have a lot of confidence in the upcoming game.
Well, now
I was just looking up. I'm sorry, just to look up Leota there. Looks like he's having season-ending surgery.
Okay, that is breaking news to me.
Yeah,
so that's too bad.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, no. I remember that guy, so that does suck. Yeah. I mean, he was definitely a force. Sucks he's done.
Well, there would some people that would say, looking at your schedule, you've had at least a couple of games that were a test of your intestinal fortitude against Penn State, and now this past Saturday against LSU, where Georgia's toughest battle so far has been against Oregon. But South Carolina, I gotta be honest. I as weird as it may seem, I kind of was hoping for good things for South Carolina, just because I wanted to see. I'm here in Oklahoma City, and I lived the entire saga of Spencer Rattler from QB1 all the way to him getting on campus, and I kind of was hoping for some good things for him. But so we really haven't faced a. You guys have had a couple of games, where you've had to get down in the dirt, put your knuckles and your knees in the dirt. So you don't think that may? I mean, every fighter has a puncher's chance of winning a fight. I think that, just my personal opinion, the way that Georgia has been playing, it's just my thought. I mean, because we didn't think that Missouri. The only thing that kept Missouri from winning the game is that they could not get in the end zone after that first touchdown. That's just my 2 cents. But
Yeah, no, if they'd have scored, we'd have lost that game. Because I mean, you
yeah.
look at it, we only won by 4. So I mean, if they'd have went that time, they'd have scored where Malachi called him at the 1 yard line. If they'd have scored, that'd been ball game, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. I mean, glad it didn't happen, but that's what we're looking at. And like we mentioned earlier, the biggest thing that I have seen, and I noticed this right out the break in the season opener, arm tackling is horrible. The secondary has been very good. We got the number 18 ranked pass defense in the country right now, with 100. They're holding opponents to 175 passing yards a game, which, generally speaking, if you hold somebody to 175 passing yards, you're gonna win a game unless your offense is just stinks. So the secondary's been very good. They've stepped up where the front seven are missing the Lewis Scenes and the N'Kobe Deans and the Big Baby Davises, but it's Nolan Smith has been non-existent.
Right.
He's had a couple. I mean, he had a key play on Saturday, but he's pretty much been non-existent. He's got 4 or 5 tackles all season so far. Our offense has been hit or miss. It's kind of like an old deuce and a quarter where it needs old deuce and a quarter that needs some engine work done. When you turn it off and it sputters for about 10 more minutes before it cuts off. That's where our offense is going. It's either all the way on or part of the way on. There's no in between. So those are some of the weaknesses that we're looking at. But we're going to move on into our next segment, and this is called X Wins If. So we're going to come back to you, Jeff, and ask you. We're gonna give you the Auburn wins if, and go.
All right. First scenario, rewind the clock. Georgia beats Missouri by 40 instead of 4, and Auburn sneaks in. That's kind of one of my scenarios where if you, like I mentioned earlier, I don't see Georgia overlooking the game. But if there is a realistic scenario for it to happen, you talked about the close game in Auburn. Auburn's had that. They've been there. Maybe they push through if it's close. And you'll have a Georgia team who, for the second straight week, is trying to battle in the fourth quarter when they're like, we shouldn't be battling. If this is a close 4-quarter game, maybe there's a chance. If Robbie Ashford lights it up, similar to how he did against LSU, I don't know if he will, but if he did, Auburn wins. I think if Auburn doesn't turn the ball over. Now, that's not an Auburn wins if they don't turn it over. That's if they have no shot if they don't. They've 4 turnovers last week. That's why they lost to LSU. So I don't even know if I would say Auburn wins if. There's some things that have to bounce right for Auburn. So Auburn wins if a bunch of things bounce right. It's a close game in the fourth quarter. Ashford goes for 400, and they don't turn the ball over. And that's if there's a scenario, that's how it would have to happen.
All righty. Well, Colin, I'm going to hand this one to you. I've done a lot of talking about a lot of things today, so I'm going to hand this one to you. So Georgia wins if, and go.
Well, I mean, I kind of voiced that just a minute ago a little bit already, but yeah, no, I mean, I can agree. Turnovers are your killers. I mean, like look at Stetson. Stetson had a fumble. Milton had a fumble. If we could keep the turnovers to a minimum, and if Stetson, I don't know whether he is kind of rattled back there or not. If he can settle down and make his throws, make his checks, and big thing for me is going to be his offensive line protection, which would be a huge thing. And then our defense holding the scoring down to a minimum, having us, like you said, not having to play in the fourth quarter, which was that was unorthodox for us to play, not play until the fourth quarter. And usually we're the first half team, not a second half team. So, So, I mean, I see all that having to happen. But I view it, turnovers are key. Like in opportune moments, if turnovers happen, they could be, the difference in a win and a loss in a game, regardless who's playing.
I'm gonna throw a little pepper on top of those mashed potatoes with some butter and some shredded cheddar cheese there, my friend. Georgia wins if this run game ever gets going. We already see that Deshaun Edwards he's a caged tiger ready to be cut loose and go. Or maybe tiger's not an analogy we want to use for this particular weekend, but he's ready. He's ready to be let loose and cut loose. We see that Kendall is finally starting to whatever it is. I know his hamstring was bothering him a little bit, and he's coming back from. If my understanding is correct, he's coming back from season-ending injury from last year. So it looks like he's getting his legs up under him too. If those two get going, that takes a lot of pressure off of Stetson to have to put the ball out there to McConkey, who I don't know if he starts smelling himself or not or whatever the last couple of games, but he's been off. And you don't have to completely work Brock Bowers to death. And you can also start spreading it around. I mean, we've seen Big O is not afraid to hurdle anybody. That guy is just he's like, so what? I'm 6'8" and 378 pounds. I'm gonna jump over you. Move out of the way, peasant. So those are my takeaways from the Georgia wins. So having said all of that, those of you just joining us, thank you so much for joining us for this very short version of This Week in UGA Football. We have our guest Jeff Merrick joining us here. Auburn fan out of the state of Florida. We had all of that explained to us, so we're not gonna get into all of the biography and the who wears and wins. But he's an Auburn fan, and he thought not robbery to give us a little bit of his time this evening, sir. We appreciate you being here. So we're gonna get into our next segment, the game prediction. Anybody wanna go first on score? I think Colin and I already ran through. We do before the season started. We've been doing shows all off season. We did when Auburn was a team of the week. I think at that point, based on what we had seen last year, the controversy in the off season, we had predicted a win. We still think a win is possible, but now it's kind of like spades. It's like I got two in a possible. You know what I mean? So it's possible that we'll win, and we would like for us to win. But what do you have, sir, for our game prediction for the score for this week?
I'm going to say I'd say maybe 42-17 Georgia. I could see a scenario where it's a first half where there's a fight. Auburn has shown fight when they come out to start, but I don't. They've faded badly in the second half, and I really think that momentum's going to roll. So I've got 42-17 Georgia this week.
Okay. All right. Anybody you think is going to stand out outside of the people that you mentioned already?
Good question. I really hope Tank Bisbee gets a chance this week. I'm tired of because I've seen him play so well. Maybe this is the week he breaks out. It's national TV. It's a big CBS audience, and maybe they find something for him early in this game. Because I'm hating that we got a talent like that, and he's getting 13 carries a game. So let me just say Tank. Maybe Tank comes out of it this week and can finish strong in his time at Auburn. That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, all right, good deal. Well, Colin P. from the DMV and the SEC, what you got for me, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely not seeing. I definitely take Auburn in the points, but Georgia's going to win the game. I don't think they're going to win by 30. What ESPN said, even over under is 49. So I mean, I could definitely see them kind of scoring that many points, but definitely, I just don't see us winning by that much. I mean, maybe 20 points at the most. I mean, I'm with Jeff, dude. I mean, we will get the win, but I don't see it being as big as they think it is.
So give me a score prediction.
Oh, I'm sorry. All that being said, let's go 42-27.
42-27. Oh, you won't make it.
Wow.
You won't make it a little closer.
Points.
Yeah.
That would be the second highest point total Auburn has scored all year if they score 27.
That's it.
Maybe it'll be from
they scored 48 against Mercer.
Okay.
So that'd be the number 2 total.
Okay, that's fair.
Be a fun day.
I'm gonna go.
Right.
I'm gonna give Georgia an extra deuce, and so I'm gonna say 44. But I'm with Colin. I think Auburn has a pretty decent day. Let me take that back. Let me back up. I'm pretty sure right now the boys running suicides like Coach Carter, like a combination of Coach Carter and Denzel Washington's rendition of Herman Boone in Remember the Titans. You killing me, Petey. You fumble the ball, run a mile, carry the football. You killing me, Petey. So I don't know. I'm gonna say 20. I'm not gonna drop as low as I'm not gonna go as high as 27, but I'm not gonna drop as low as 17. So I'm gonna go with 20-44 with a 20-44 win. Standouts for me, I think for me, I think this is going to be Dijon Edwards real coming out. I think they're going to try and work harder to get him the ball. I think they're still going to continue to work Kendall into the scheme, but I think that's going to be his coming out. This week, we're going to see more of Deshaun Edwards, and he's going to do what we all know that he's capable of doing. I think that's just my 2 cents there.
Yeah, so I'll go along with that. I'll go along with that, but I think this might be. I'm kind of feeling like this is the way the Stats is going to break out of this form too. So I think he's going to have a good game. I think.
Okay. All right. You think we're going to pull any tricks out of the? We're going to pull anything out of the bag of tricks, or are we just going to focus on the fundamentals?
At this point, man, I wouldn't put anything in there to cause confusion. I think, hey, I'd go to just back to standard, back to just playing football and running the rock like we normally do. That would be just don't throw anything else in the mix. Just play hard-nosed football. Let's get it done.
I got you. Well, either way, we're all hoping for at least I know you and I are hoping for a great performance from my dogs. That brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the final segment of this edition of This Week in UGA Football, and it's a little something we like to call the 2-minute warning. This segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we leave our viewing audience with just a little parting something to take with you when you leave the show today. Jeff, as our guest, we're going to let you go first. So what you got for the crowd today, sir?
Well, for the mostly Georgia crowd, I look forward to the Deep South's oldest rivalry renewing. I'm kind of tired of losing it every year, but I know that ain't changing this year. I assume there will be, if any of you need a head coaching job, there could be one available here in a couple of weeks. I think it might be more of an if and not a win, more of a win, not an if for him, but we'll see. Hey, if he can go out, if he can bring this team together for this game this week, maybe Mr. Harsha can turn things around.
I gotta be completely honest with you. When I thought they lost, I was like, ugh. Is the hammer going to drop on him on Sunday? And it never came, and it didn't come on Monday. And then I saw they fired the Colorado coach. I was like, okay, here comes the next domino. And then it wasn't even him. It was Chris from Wisconsin. Yeah, I was like, hey, he lives to fight another day. Honestly, I'm rooting for your coach. I gotta tell you, I'm just rooting for him. Again, coming from a place of selfishness, not necessarily to beat us. But I'm rooting for him to have a successful season. It just kind of feels like he was put there. It kind of seems threw him in there knowing that he might be good or he might not. But if he wasn't, then he could be the scapegoat to get rid of and go after whoever it was they really wanted to get that they couldn't get at the time they got rid of the Gus Bus. So
yeah, that happens all too often. Well, that happens all too often. People get thrown in there, and
Yeah, I mean, I got plenty I can say about him. It might be more than 2 minutes, but
hey.
I'm looking at the bye week because there's a new president. The last president at Auburn waited till the end of the season. He never wanted to fire guys during the season, and we got a new president, and I don't know how he's going to see this. So, bye week is next week after Ole Miss. We're looking at 3 and 4. That might be a time to watch.
Okay.
I got no sources. That's just me doing math and saying, yeah, that would be a time that would make sense if you're going to move on from a coach.
Okay. All right. Hey, mark that on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. If they find themselves at that position, just mark that down. Jeff said so. Colin, coming to you, man. Give me your 2-minute warning, sir.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I'm like Jeff, man. I'm hoping for a good game. I mean, hopefully not very – I mean, as a Georgia fan, not a very close game, but hopefully, we come out of it. But hopefully, I'd see a good game this weekend. But no, I would jump out at a lot of you guys, a lot of you people that don't like to cook. I suggest giving it a shot, because sometimes you can throw some stuff together and not even have a recipe or anything like that, and throw it together as long as it tastes good. Hey man, that's how I cook. I don't know how you do it, Fingers, but I know you cook a lot. But sometimes I don't even write it down. I just throw some stuff in a pot, and is it good? It's good. I'm good, right? So
yeah,
if you guys and most times it's a lot more healthier than going in your Kentucky Fried Chicken, your Popeyes, and your Taco Bell, and all that kind of stuff. Good for your belly. So that's all I got.
But the ghost stuff tastes so good, and sometimes tastes better because you don't have to cook it, and there's no dishes to wash afterwards.
Bro, I understand. You're talking to a DoorDash. You're talking about a VIP DoorDash guy right here. I didn't even know they had it. I had no idea they offered VIP for DoorDash. Evidently, I got VIP.
I did not either.
Dude, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
COVID was like before COVID, we were still very heavy. Okay, we'll maybe do DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever every so often, or it's Friday, we don't cook them all. COVID was definitely the you want to just order DoorDash. You want to just order DoorDash.
But if you sit down and look at how much more expensive it is, I mean, you can just get up your ass and go get it yourself. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, either way, it's going to be expensive. I mean, shoot, the value meal at McDonald's is $9 depending on which one you get. It costs you about $11 worth of tax.
Now it is. Yeah.
Either way, but so my 2-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen, is try and learn. I'm gonna get all philosophical on you. Try and learn to find your center of gravity. Sometimes, we don't think that the things that we go through on a daily basis affect us any one way or another. But sometimes unknowingly that stuff will push you a little bit to the right, or push you back a little bit, or turn you around sideways. And the next thing you know, you find yourself going, how did I get here? And look back at what you've been going through. It might not necessarily be good. It might not be bad. Life might be going great, and work is just killing you. And then you look around, it's like, why do I feel so run down? You just learn to find your center of gravity. Once you find where that center of gravity is, it's always a heck of a lot easier to find your way back to it. And then always have somebody in your life. Doesn't have to necessarily be a significant other, a loved one, a good friend, a coworker that you trust with your life in 2022. Good luck finding one of those. But still somebody that can just help you be like, hey, this is where we were. We're going back to these grid coordinates, and we're going to start over. So that's all I got. That's all I got for the 2-minute warning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We actually got through it pretty quick, Colin. I didn't think we could do this. Jeff Collin and I said that Jeff Collin and I started the show off and said it was going to be a 1-hour format, and we could not for the life of us finish the show any faster than an hour and a half. And when I said I wanted to do a half-hour show, boom, we're at 33 minutes only because my talking self talked for more than my 2-minute allotment. But we want to thank our guest, Jeff Merrick, very much for joining us today, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. I appreciate it,
man. Yeah, I kind of like these short and to the point shows. I see why Nate started doing these real short shows. But we appreciate having you, sir. You're more than welcome to join the show anytime. I need you if you could hang out for a minute after we get out of here. Real quick, we'll chat with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys tuning in to us today. We will be back on Monday. We're not going to do leading up to the games this weekend because the whole format now has switched over from total SEC to completely just UGA. So we've already done that today with our guests, so we don't need to be on Thursday, Friday. So we will see you guys on Monday. On behalf of me, Mr. Fingers from Zagness Central, and the brother from another with the introduction that now takes up 1/4 of the show, Colin P. We appreciate you for tuning in. We will see you guys. Oh, hey, Jeff, I know you're down. Before I say we will get out of here, can you give us a War Eagle? Can you do that at least?
Oh, yeah, War Eagle.
Okay, there we go. And from us,
12-0, it's War Eagle. War Eagle anyway.
There you go. And from us, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on Monday. Go Dogs.
And go Dogs.